My name is Amata, and in this Red Gaming Tech video I am here with yet another combo video for you. And the first item on our itinerary is actually regarding the mid-range graphics card market. Now, of course, I've spoken about this a few times, and about how, among other things, the demand for cryptocurrency mining has caused the prices to rise on certain graphics cards. These are the 1060, 570, 580, and of course, in some cases, Vega. Now, in some cases, we are seeing these being sold for way above their actual recommended value, just due to the insane demand. And of course, we have been hoping for a cool-off for this for some time, given that, of course, like, you don't mind paying X amount if X amount is actually what this card is worth, but if that price is inflated due to cryptocurrency or the DRAM shortage or a combination of those two or whatever, then obviously you kind of want to wait for the price to fall, and we might be seeing that happen finally. Now, of course, we recently discussed, or at least Paul recently discussed, the regulatory changes in China that have shut down cryptocurrency exchanges within the country, and that has, of course, had an impact. Now, the cryptocurrency market is ever quick to recover, and it has recovered from that slightly, but they aren't quite at the peaks that they were, and of course it has done a little bit of damage to that particular market, as of course China is a huge deal when it comes to, well, any market ever, really. But when it comes to outside of that, we are seeing new cards being listed that are actually roughly approaching their recommended price. Either they're at the recommended price or they're only, like, say, $20 above it, which isn't bad when previously we were talking like $100 above it. You know, $20 above isn't actually that bad. If I was like really wanting an upgrade, I'd be like, you know what, fuck it, $20, fine. I will gladly part with that. You know, we've had several cards lifted on Newegg that are actually at the recommended price from several brands, not just in, you know, not just AMD, but Nvidia as well. And you've got some non-reference designs also being listed for either just above their recommended retail price, or, you know, say $60 to $80 above. You know, you've got the 580 available, again at the 1060. Unfortunately, no sign of this affecting the 570 as of yet, as they're commanding roughly $260 at the moment, which, for rank, is not really worth it, given that you can get the 580 for about $290 or $289 to be exact. So that's a bit crazy on that one, but we are seeing a slight cooling off on at least some of these cards on Newegg, at least, and other such sites, not just Newegg obviously, but I'm just using them as an example. Now, obviously you can't buy Vega on standalone, at least on Newegg, but we are seeing other sites listing Vega for their suggested prices or just above it. So hopefully this is a sign that the demand is finally starting to cool off a little, and we can hopefully expect to see that continue and perhaps see these prices stabilize and be roughly around what we're supposed to be paying. I know a lot of people have kind of been waiting to upgrade and not being able to do so because of these prices. Now, the second item on our itinerary is actually to do with Vega, the Vega 64 to be exact, as we have some very interesting benchmarks results courtesy of computerbase.de and Mariano, who very kindly messaged me this link over on our Facebook page, which of course is facebook.com/redgamingtech, so big thanks to him for bringing this to my attention. Basically, those guys managed to get their hands on it and run some graphics performance tests, and the result was rather surprising, as we see a rather nice outpacing of the 64 in comparison to the 1080 Ti, so it outpaces the 1080 Ti. And on screen you'll be seeing some results, where you can see some results in, of course, glorious 1080p, as well as, of course, 1440, and 2160 as well. And as you can see on these charts that they very kindly provided, the Vega 64 is in the lead in all of these results except for the 3840 by 2160 result, where of course it is being beaten by a fair few frames a second. We've got 90.8 for the 1080 Ti and then 83.7 for the Vega 64. And of course, we can also see some results in comparison to the 56 as well. Now, the 56 has been doing rather well for itself in the performance that we've seen of it, and this just shows you how well it does. And of course, if you are looking at an upgrade, say, tempted on the 1070, 1080, blah blah blah, at least in Forza 7, and obviously one game does not a complete picture make when it comes to the performance you can expect, this does bode pretty well for the 56 as well as of course the 64. Now I know those of you are wondering, or some of you are wondering rather, should I say, what are the other specs? You know, saying, oh yeah, it did this well is great, but obviously the specs elsewhere do matter when it comes to these sort of tests, and the specs for their machine was an i7 6850K overclocked to 4.3 GHz with 16 gigs of DDR4 memory, running at 3000 MHz in quad channel mode. They were using the 17.93 Crimson Relive drivers and the 38.69 for NVIDIA, and these are the officially optimized one for Forza 7. And of course, all graphics settings were at max, and 8x MSAA was used in all 3 resolutions. Now these results are actually quite surprising, to be honest with you. We are seeing a significant lead, as I already said, by the 64 in several cases here. Obviously in one of them not so much, but even so, the 2 results that we do have where it does have a significant lead is a surprise. Normally the 1080 Ti would be, you know, slapping both the 1080 and Vegas about, and obviously I'm being a bit, you know, colloquial there, but the point is this is kind of the opposite of what we might expect. Now what's also cool is that if you look on screen now, you will see the frame times, which is based upon smoothness, and basically shows, you know, how smoothly it was actually running, like, overall. So the 1080 Ti's average frame rate advantage despite that, rather, it was delivering those frames in a slightly choppier way in comparison to that of the Vega 64. The Vega 64 was running smoother overall in comparison to the Ti, despite the fact that the Ti did better on average. I do note that these frame time results are for the 4K, so when I say on average, I do just mean for that result, obviously not overall, but it does still give you an idea of what is happening in the result, that 1080 Ti is in the lead. Even in that result, overall the Vega was running smoother according to this particular result. Now what's actually really interesting is that NVIDIA have actually confirmed that these results are correct. And they said, quote, "The ranking in Forza 7 is very unusual. NVIDIA has confirmed computer-based, however, that the results are correct, so there's no problem with the system in the editorial regarding GeForce." Obviously, that was from computerbase.de. But NVIDIA basically said, yep, these are legit. We are a bit confused, but these are legit, as said by NVIDIA. So you might say, okay, what is actually causing this, to be honest? And, well, it does seem to be that GeForce on the higher end are running into a bottleneck issue, whereas AMD is not. So I guess that shows you why the gap was closed the higher you cranked the resolution, as of course the Radeon kind of faced a similar bottleneck, but obviously not as much as their NVIDIA counterparts. So, also, there's of course drivers and stuff to worry about. Forza, of course, is one of the few games to use DX12, so perhaps AMD have been doing some stuff behind the scenes to take advantage of DX12. You know, we've discussed in the past how DX12 is an advantage in terms of performance over DX11. So there's, I think, a couple of things working here to produce these rather unusual results, as normally we are pretty much seeing the exact opposite of what we've seen here from computerbase.de. So very interesting to say the least, and yeah, does go to show you exactly how many sort of moving parts go into making a graphics card great. Obviously the graphics card itself has to be good, but obviously the game optimization and of course drivers as well. So with all that said, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.